I like to walk every single day. I drink water every single day, and I avoid sugar like the plague. And I urge you to walk with me every single day too, and you can do so by subscribing to the channel and hitting thumbs up. Guys, I was watching News Nation's YouTube channel, and I came across this video here of this beautiful house. This realtor here that's being interviewed by News Nation, his name is Brendan Da Silva. And he believes that you can never underprice a house, you can only overprice a home, right? And that makes sense, because if I see a listing for a home and it's way more money than I even think I want to spend, I'll look at other homes, right? But imagine this, he offered to sell this beautiful house for $1. And he did it to prove his point to his seller that you can never underprice a home. And check this out, the average home in this neighborhood where this house sold lasted on the market for 26 to 28 days. Mr. Da Silva was able to sell this property in 7 days. The average home in the neighborhood sells for about $500, or at least that's what he said he was wanting to get for the house. But because he sold it for $1, he ended up getting hundreds of people to come take a look at the house. And he ended up getting dozens upon dozens of offers. And guys, they ended up selling that house in 7 days for $550,000. And I thought that was a really cool way to think outside the box. And he said what he would really urge people to think about is that their realtor knows a little bit more than they do. And when your realtor comes to you and tells you that he wants to sell your home for a certain price, listen to his reasoning. We're in a little bit of a heat wave here in Arizona where basically for the next 10 days or so, it's going to be like 105 to 112 or something. Just crazy temperatures. But you want to know something? I'm used to it. It takes a couple of weeks of misery, but after a while, you're just like, you know what? It is what it is. I say this because some of you in the northeast part of the country, there's a certain times of the year where it's freezing cold outside. I'm still urging you to go on your walks. And because of that, I think that those of us that live in the warmer states should just grin and bear it and get going. Get going, get outside. There is going to be a time and an age for all of us where we might not be able to battle the elements. Heck, let's stay young together by battling the elements. What do you guys say? That's one of those things where it's really hard to swallow though, right? Could you imagine you hire some realtor to sell your home and he comes in and says, we're gonna sell this bad boy for $1. That's enough to make some people faint. But if you think about it, it's really true. Nobody's gonna let a really nice home sell for very inexpensive. They're gonna get that price boosted up one way or another. It is a little hot out here, holy moly. All right, so listen to this comment. This comment was made by Allegor X56. It says, the realtor really wanted PR, that's all. Nothing here is revolutionary thinking. It's not even novel. And what I wrote down next to that comment was ex-realtor, ? Realtors are interesting because it seems like they either get really rich and successful at their craft, or some of them just kind of fizzle out, and you have a lot of ex-realtors. This person kind of sounds like somebody that probably got into a bad situation, maybe got stuck in a couple of homes. For every person that tells you, hey, I sold my house and we made hundreds of thousands of dollars, you'll be able to find somebody else that says, I sold my house and we made enough to buy a Happy Meal. That's what my ex-father-in-law used to always tell me. He goes, you know, you might think that flipping houses is easy. He goes, but I tried it for a number of years, and when we sold my final property, I had enough to buy the girls a couple of Happy Meals. There was a time when I was playing video games with my wife, and I remember we were listening to the radio at the same time. I know it's kind of weird, right? The radio sounds like it's from the 1900s. The video game sounds like it's from the present. But we were playing video games, listening to the radio, and I remember an ad came on for a local car dealer down here. And the ad basically said, we're going to be getting rid of one of our used vehicles tomorrow at 8 a.m. Come down to such and such dealership. We're going to sell that bad boy for $100. So this is no joke. I'm like, my God, I'm going to try to go down there and see what this is all about. So I go down to the dealership and I'm kind of freaking out on the inside because they haven't opened yet and I'm literally the only person standing out there. I must have looked like a transient, just kind of walking back and forth, right? But anyway, they finally let me in and I literally tell them, hey, am I first here? And they go, well, obviously. And I go, well, you had an ad on the radio that said you guys were going to sell a used car for $100 to the first person down here. And here's how funny the situation was now that I look back. They didn't even know what I was talking about. Yes, the ad was real. Yes, they placed it. But they placed it on one of these radio channels, radio stations where I guess they just thought nobody would really hear about it. So I go down there. I'm expecting a nice used car, right? It's almost creepy how many adult men we have on these little like dirt bikes and stuff. It's almost creepy. It seems like I have like a different one riding through the neighborhood each and every day. So anyway, their manager ends up talking to me. And they end up finding this just crapper car. I mean, it might as well have been like a 79 Ford Pinto. I mean, they just found the absolute ugliest trade-in from their lot. And they said, okay, here's $100. Here's the tax, title, license, and all these fees. And it ended up being like $1,800 for this vehicle that nobody in their right mind would want to buy. And so I just kind of laughed and I said, never mind. And I started leaving. And I'm not even joking. Everyone there kind of smiled like that's their gimmick to get people down there, right? And when you get down there and you're excited about buying a car, I bet you every now and then they end up selling a car by doing that. And that's what I kind of thought was cool about this house. Are there more than likely other people that have thought of selling a house for $1 or $100? Yeah, I suppose. But the idea that this made it on as a video, I guess, is what caught my eye. I just thought it was really a great idea. And it really does show that this guy had trust in his experience. You know, sometimes we doubt ourselves, right, Venters? We know how to lose weight. We know how to exercise. We know how to tackle a problem. We know how to do homework and study things that are bothering us in this world, right? But sometimes it's really easy to lose faith in our own abilities. At VPrice777, VP says, oh my God, the house next door to me just sold for $1.4 million. Check this out. It's a three bedroom pool and it's real ordinary looking. It's crazy. So I agree with you. If you're living in a home and your next door neighbor just got 1.4 million, that means you're living in a lottery ticket, right? If you ever sell your home, it's probably going to get similar numbers, maybe even more. And even if it's a little less, it sounds to me like you're going to be able to sell your home for $1 million. So in that regard, it's cool. But I also understand where you're coming from, that this was just an ordinary house and some family is willing to spend darn near $1.5 million for it, right? 3 measly bedrooms, a pool. That shouldn't cost that much, yet it does, right? And so they're buying that house, and it reminds me of 2 or 3 years back, we had a little run on houses here in the neighborhood. And somebody bought the house 3 doors down for me, not for 1.4 million, but for $500 and something thousand. It was like $495 or 5 something, right there in that range. And it just really blew me away because I thought the same thing you did. This house was a single story and it looks very plain Jane. Don't get me wrong, I've been inside a lot of the houses of the neighborhood through the years. They're very decent, They're very okay. I would never walk in and think one day these things are going to sell for $500,000, but they do. Chuck 9380 says, I've seen this plenty of times. I'm just surprised someone finally made the news. Me too, Chuck. I think that's a really cool thing. And here's the overall thought behind it. The average house took 3.5 weeks to sell. He was able to sell that bad boy in 7 days. In a weird way, he did something that ChatGPT tells us. What are you talking about, Jesse? There are a lot of videos that are telling you that one day AI is going to take over. But until that day happens, there's going to be a hybrid situation where if you can learn tips and strategies from your new genius friend, ChatGPT, you can really become more successful at what you do. For example, you could send 1 or 2 people a templated email, right? Or you can have ChatGPT put together a really perfect email for people. You can have ChatGPT come up with a budgetary plan for you and your business. You can have ChatGPT come up with plans on how to do your meetings when you're actually talking to a client, right? How you can kind of do a lesson plan. I find substitute teachers, and I have to tell them when they go in the interview, even though you're a substitute, act like you're a teacher. Well, they want me to do a lesson plan. Well, yeah, that's what teachers have to do. If you don't know how to do a lesson plan, go on ChatGPT and try to get some advice. And by the way, that doesn't happen all the time. Just occasionally we have substitutes that lack confidence. So I always try to tell them, go to ChatGPT, get yourself some confidence. Bookworm 9EYE9GI says, there'll still be some jerk who wants to negotiate. Bookworm, they can negotiate all they want. That price is going to go higher and higher, not lower and lower. So even if they negotiate, you'll get a letter from the realtor that says you're want to only pay $200,000 for the house that is now up to $550,000 has been denied. If you want to recounter with a realistic amount, please do so via email. I watched a movie called Us, and it was a movie where this family is on vacation, and all of a sudden in front of their house is a family that looks just like them, right? But they're kind of evil and dark. Anyway, I don't want to give out the movie because it's a couple years old, but I was watching it, and at first I'm like, this is kind of goofy, but then as I got into it, I was like, oh, this is all right. So if you're looking to get a little bit of a thriller, kind of scary movie, maybe check out Us. But I watched it on Netflix, so it was pretty much part of my subscription that I have there. So I'm not saying necessarily go out and buy money to, I'm not saying go spend money at Walmart to buy it on DVD or anything crazy. So anyway, we're winding down our walk. Once again, even when it's hot and miserable, there's always going to be a million reasons not to take your walk. Just remember, your walk is a very mild exercise. And it's one of those things that if you don't do it almost every single day, it's really going to be difficult to see any positive thing that comes from it when it comes to your health. If you really want to lose weight and be in the best health that you can, best shape that you can, you got to walk every single day. Here's the cool thing. My talks here kind of show that 20 or 30 minutes can really go by pretty quickly. And if you, me, and everybody we know can get healthier and live longer just by investing 20 or 30 minutes a day into a walk, then by golly, I think everyone should do it. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you don't just stand there and do nothing. Put your shoes on, go get a bottle of water, head out the door for a walk, and make sure you come back again tomorrow, and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night. And remember, sometimes thinking out of the box can only happen when you're in a quiet place by yourself on a walk. Have a good day.